Hey guys, this is John with CheatSheetPros.com, and today we're going to take a look at some college football best bets for week 3. So one of the things you'll notice on this sheet, it's a little bit different than the one on the website. What I did is I pulled in the Pro Football Focus power rankings, and I put a little projection here of what their line would be. It doesn't seem real accurate. It's a lot lower. So I'm going to put it in here and follow it along this week. If anyone wants to play with it, let me know. I'm happy to send you the sheet. And once again, this is our projected line. Home field advantage is factored into both of these. So we're going to look at the comparison of our line versus the PFF line. And then over here, you'll notice on this left side, I just did an average of these two. If these are drastically different, I'm going to just follow the average and see kind of where that falls in terms of the Vegas line. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the 3 games that I like the most first. We're going to take a look at them, and then I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 more games that I'm considering, and I'll kind of look at those with you, and then you guys can decide if you like them or don't like them. So the first game we have is Cincinnati at Indiana. There's a lot of hype on this game here. Cincinnati's ranked number 7. This is a game I earmarked early on, so it's one of the first games that I was looking at. And I was reading an article this morning, I think it was Action Network had posted it, and it had this game and it said Cincinnati has possible 3 first-round picks on defense. So, which we can tell right now they're rated as the number 6 defense. So that's really good for them. The line on this, I was kind of shocked. It's -4 as it sits right now. And then even the PFF grade has it at -10.5, and we've got it at 11.5. I haven't rounded to the nearest half. But so we've got it 10 to 11, and you're only laying -4, so that's the first game that I jumped. And even on the sheet, if you want to go up here and put the line in of -4, okay, now we've got a edge. So we're going to flip down and take a look at this next game. That one's pretty straightforward. So we got Iowa and Kent State. This is another game getting a lot of hype. Kent State absolutely annihilated. I can't remember who they played last week, but they blew them out. But behind us, let me go ahead and hit this. This is the point-wise sheet, and it's got the college football schedules and what the line closed at and final. So we're going to take a look at that for some of these games. Sometimes the power rating, if they haven't played anyone, I don't really want to do anything with the game. So here we have Kent State at 1-1. Now they played Texas A&M, an elite defense, and they only put up 10 points. They got beat 41-10, so A&M beat them by 31 points. And then they played VMI, which I don't really care about that game. That's a know-nothing school. And then when you come over here and look at Iowa, which if you follow college football, you're aware of how good they are playing right now. So they played Indiana and beat them 34-6 as a 3.5-point favorite. And then they played a really tough game against Iowa State and beat them 27-17, which was a really good. And then what I do is I come in here and I look at, let's say, okay, Kent State got held to 10 points by Texas A&M. So just curious, I want to put Texas A&M side by side with Iowa, and I want to look at the defensive rank over here. So Texas A&M sits at 9th, while Iowa sits at 3. So they're 6 spots better. So if A&M beat them by, 31 points, then I definitely think Iowa would be able to beat them by 31 points. So the PFF line has this at -22. We've got it at 31. And if you average it out, we got it at 26.8. So 27 points should be a breeze for Iowa. The line's -23. So basically we're saying, hey, can they win by 24? Yes, I think they can. The PFF line has it just under that. Our line has it about a touchdown past that. So I'm curious to see which one of these is closer this week. But even the average, we're over that line. And if A&M beat them by 31, I don't think Iowa's going to have a problem beating them by 24. So that's the second game that I really like. And then we've got the third one we're going to go ahead and hit, and that's Clemson at Georgia Tech. So what jumps out at me here, I run all these games to the sheet. I look at them, I earmark them, and then I go research them, see who they played, and I narrow my list from like 20 games to 10 games down to about my best 5 games and a few others. So here we have Clemson, who's ranked number 2. Now, this isn't like number 2 in the land, but it's a different ranking. And then Georgia Tech at 90th. So there's a significant difference there. And then you look at the offense and the defenses. We got 9 versus the 83rd, and then the 83rd versus the 2nd. So how much do you think Georgia Tech is actually going to score in this game? Now, Clemson is minus 28 as it sits this morning. PFF has it about 22. We have it about 30. So this is a game where we don't have it covering by a bunch, but judging by this offense, defense, and the drastic difference in rankings, it's one I would want to go look at. So let's go look at Clemson first. We kind of know what they've done because they're a top school. So here we have Clemson, and they played a tough game against a really good Georgia team and lost 10-3. And then they played South Carolina State and annihilated them 49-3. I think that game was 28-0 in the first quarter, and then they kind of let up. So I like a first half play here. Lane 28, your first half's probably going to be somewhere between that 17 and 20, but asking them to be at 3 touchdowns against Georgia Tech I don't think is difficult. So let's go take a look at Georgia Tech real quick and see kind of what they've been doing. Well, I'm going all over the place here. So Georgia State, okay, here's Georgia Tech over here. And so they played Northern Illinois as an 18.5-point favorite. They lost 21-22. And then, of course, they went out and annihilated Kennesaw State, which we don't really care about that game. So I like Clemson here, get out to a big lead and then kind of let up. So the third play that I like is a Clemson first half. I didn't have a line on it this morning, but their game line's 28, so you're going to be somewhere between 17 and probably 20.5 for the first half. Those are the 3 I'm for sure betting. Another one that I want to look at that right before I recorded this kind of jumped up is Georgia and South Carolina. So the line on this is 32, and it didn't pop up because I didn't have a line on it, so I didn't see the game. But it's kind of the same thing. We've got 78 versus number 4, and then the 14th offense versus the 58th defense, and then 78th versus the number 1 defense. So this game could get out of hand quick. I want to look and see who South Carolina has played. Now, PFF has Georgia favored by 23. We have 26. We average it out, so about 24.5. But they're laying 32, so the sheet's not going to point you at a play here. But Georgia was one of the big plays I had last week, and so they're over here. So we know the game they had against Clemson, and then they played UAB as a 23-point. So it went off at Georgia minus 23, and they finished at 56-7. So South Carolina's kind of, they're next on the list. Let's scroll down here and take a look at South Carolina. Southern Cal, Florida. Okay, here we go. South Carolina. So they beat Eastern Illinois. Who cares about that game? They played ECU, won by 3, close game. So I'm leaning maybe a first half play here. I think Georgia I think they're number 2 in the official polls right now, and they're really wanting to stay up there. So I think they come out and make a statement. So that's a game I'm looking at. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other ones. So just to recap, my favorite are Cincinnati minus 4, Iowa minus 23, and Clemson first half. And then other plays that are in consideration is Georgia, but it doesn't point to a play on the sheet. And then some of the other ones that I earmarked, I'll show you. We have Iowa State and UNLV. So right now, Iowa State's minus 31.5, and PFF has it at 17, but we've got it at, almost 36. So there's a drastic difference here, which this kind of jumps out at me. You've got a really good offense against one of the worst defenses and one of the worst offenses against one of the best defenses. 31.5 is probably a pretty fair line. We know what Iowa State's done. They actually outgained Iowa in yards, but I think they had 3 or 4 picks or turnovers, and that's what was the defining point of the game. So UNLV, I want to kind of look at them and see if they've hung with anyone, if they've done anything that we need to watch for. So UNLV's right here, 0-2. So they played Eastern Washington, which is a know-nothing team, and there wasn't even a line on it, and they lost 35-33. So that's a red flag. Then they played Arizona State as a 34-point dog and lost 37-10. So I think Iowa State can tear them apart. So Iowa State minus the 31.5, or tease it down, or take a first half play. That's kind of what I'm looking at this point. Another one that jumped out is Arkansas, and see how Georgia Southern is. So Arkansas and Georgia Southern. I was following lightly. I have a friend who's a really big Arkansas fan, so I kind of always keep that in the back of my mind. So Arkansas, they beat Rice 38-17. They were a 20-point favorite, no big deal. But last week, what was surprising is they played Texas as a 6.5-point dog and beat them 40-21. I mean, they just absolutely tore them apart. So that kind of popped a little flag for me to keep an eye on them. So they're playing Georgia Southern this week. Now, PFF has them -3, -4, but after what they did to Texas last week, this is a game I wanted to look into a little bit more. So we know what Arkansas did last week. Let's see what Georgia Southern did. And they're right here. So they beat Gardner-Webb by 5, so that's not impressive. And then they played Florida Atlantic as a 6.5-point dog and lost 38-6. And then now they go up against Arkansas. So that's a game that I'm liking more and more now that I look at it. Now they're laying 24, so it's a healthy line. But that's one that they could jump out. I mean, they almost got that versus Texas, which is crazy. So that's another win. And then Michigan at Northern Illinois. Let's look at this. So we got Michigan at Northern Illinois. The line on this one's 27.5. PFF has it at 25. We got it at 29. We average it out. We're right at the Vegas line, so we're pretty close. What jumps out at me here is a weak offense, weak defense going up against Michigan, who has looked really good this year. And so I want to come down here and just double check my Michigan information. So Michigan here, they beat Western Michigan. That's kind of a slam dunk game, 47-14. Last week against Washington, they were a 6.5-point favorite. Their defense looked really good, and they beat them 31-10. So they beat them by 21. They were 14.5 points ATS. So I know they're solid. So let's look at Northern Illinois and kind of see what they're doing. And then we come down here to Northern Illinois. And so they played Georgia Tech as an 18.5-point dog, beat them by 1. And then they played Wyoming as a 7-point dog and lost into overtime, but they gave up 50 points. So that's a game kind of on my radar that I'm looking at. This is going to be a complete different defense that they're looking at. So, again, it's a lot of points, and I don't want to have a card of a bunch of 4-touchdown games. I don't mind taking a couple, but I don't want to have it mixed with all of them. So another one, and this one wasn't a game that I earmarked, is Marshall. Oh, gotta spell it right. Marshall and ECU. Let's see, is this East Carolina? Okay. So Marshall and East Carolina on the consensus bets, 92% of the wagers were coming in on Marshall -10. So I plugged it in here, and we've got 8 versus 104. PFF has it at -13. We got it at 13.9. So we agree. Marshall should be about a 2-touchdown favorite, laying 10. East Carolina defense 110, and then Marshall sitting at 35th. Both offenses about the same, so I think 10 is a fair spread. Marshall's only 41% against the spread at home for the last 5 years. And then this is a game I wanted to go in and look at that I'm considering betting. Whenever that much comes in on one side, that heavy, it's something that I want to take notice of and take a look at. So let's go find Marshall. Where'd you go? Maryland, Marshall. Okay, Marshall, they beat Navy. They played Navy week 1 as a 3-point favorite and beat them 49-7. And then they had a slam dunk game, 44-10. So don't have a lot of information on them, but they did look impressive against Atlanta as a game that was projected to be close, and then just blowing them out of the water by more than 40. And then let's go look at East Carolina and see if they've done anything. So we got East Carolina over here. So they played Appalachian State as a 9-point dog, lost 33-19. That's kind of funny. And then they played South Carolina 2017, so nothing great. So yeah, that's another game that I'm looking at. I don't mind a Marshall play there if you want to have a little bit more action. One of the top 25 games that everybody is talking about is Alabama and Florida. So I want to just kind of show you that game. So PFF has it at 15.5. We got it at Alabama minus about 17. The spread here is 13.5 as of this morning. So you can get Alabama by a couple of touchdowns. I'm kind of torn on this game. If I bet it, I'm going to lean Alabama. I think that was one of the point-wise big plays. Let me scroll up here and look. Yeah, so one of their top plays was Alabama over Florida. And then, I just noticed that they also have Cincy. So Alabama and Cincy were their top 2 plays. So if I bet it, I'm probably going to go Alabama. I'm definitely not going to go the other side. We know what Alabama's done. They basically have 2 slam dunk games. So Florida's the first real team that they're going to play. And they gave up 14 to Florida Atlantic that I'm looking at up here. And then they played South Florida and gave up 20. So they haven't been as impressive. So I'll be curious to see this. But even in Alabama first half play, you're going to get it at, probably somewhere between 7 and 10. And I like that play. And then I've got 2 more I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at Army and Connecticut. Army let us down last week. And I don't know if this is under UConn or Connecticut. So I'm going to flip down here through the C's. All right, there's Connecticut. Okay, so the line on this one is massive. It's 34, so I don't think you can bet it, but it's one game that jumped out at me. PFF has it at 22. We've got it at 37. The line's 34, so the sheet's not going to point as a play. But one of the things that kind of jumped out at me, so Army has the 6th best rushing yards per game against a terrible rush defense. Now, they let us down last week. They had a big lead and blew it. But let's see. Let me find Army first. All right, Army's up here. So they beat Georgia State 43-10. Then Western Kentucky, they were up big, and they let them score. God, what was that, in like the last 30 seconds or something to go 38-35 and miss our -6 cover. But now they get Connecticut. And I want to look at this game. Now, what jumped out at me, if I can find it. Where did you go? Okay, UConn. Here we go. So UConn got beat by Fresno State 45-0. And then they got beat by Holy Cross 38-28. And then they played Purdue and got beat 49-0. So UConn looks absolutely awful. I know Army can win this game and get up. By how much, I don't know. But UConn just looks so terrible that, and I mean, look at Army. They're putting up almost 300 rush yards a game, which is 6th best in the nation. And then Connecticut over here, they're giving up 173 rush yards a game. For some reason, that one kind of blows my mind. They should cover that, but taking Army and laying that many points you don't feel good about it, put it that way. And then let's look at one more. Ohio State and who are they playing? I didn't write that one down. So Ohio State is another game that's getting a lot of attention. So I just kind of want to show you that on the sheet so we can take a look at it. Oh, if I can find it. Sorry, my phone's buzzing in the background, so I'm going all over the place. So Ohio State, they beat Minnesota 45-31 as a 14-point favorite. That went as projected. Then they played Oregon as a 2-touchdown and a hook fave and lost 35-28 last week. So I'm not real excited about it, but they get Tulsa this week, and Tulsa should be the game where they get back and take it out on them and blow them out and all that good stuff. So Tulsa is, here it is. So they played Cal Davis and lost by 2. And then they played Oklahoma State and went 23-26. And the line on this game, Ohio State's 24.5, so a lot of people are on it. Tulsa, that's who they were playing. I'm not as big of a fan. So PFF has it at 24. We have it at 28. We've seen Ohio State struggle these last 2 games. So a lot of people are on Ohio State. They think this is the get right game to kind of get back in there, but they haven't really done it for me, so I'm going to stay off of it. But I wanted to show you kind of what it looks like in the sheet. We've got it really close to the Vegas line. So to recap, our plays are going to be Cincinnati -4, Iowa -23, Clemson we're going to do a first half bet on. I do like an Arkansas bet against Georgia Southern. I don't know if I'm going to go -24 or minus the first half. I'm probably going to go one of those ways. And then Marshall -10, and then Alabama -13.5. So as of now, those are the ways that I'm leaning, and then I'm considering doing an Iowa State, Michigan bet somewhere in there, but I don't know which way I'm going to go on it. But anyways, I hope you guys like watching the video. I'm going to try to do some more of these each week. I have videos posted for NFL best bets. We had 5 of those games that we went over on our NFL sheet. And if you play daily fantasy, we also have a daily fantasy with some stacks and shell lineups. So good luck. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.